Knife Trading Post has everything under the sun. 36 by 60 inch windows with or without grids, $149. All other sizes starting as low as $99. Don't pay big box prices, but hurry. Limited quantities available. You better get it when you see it at West Yellowknife.
Ice on the landing at the Choo Choo Gardens. Skate now through January 29th.
The month of January is a pretty popular time for a lot of us to plan vacations. The weather is kind of dreary. We're all a little bit coming downhill from the holidays. And if you're typically in your kitchen planning a beach vacation or a mountain ski trip, that's great. But nobody is going to be able to one-up our next guest this morning. Tom Benson is here from the Tennessee Aquarium, and he has the great privilege of bringing with him this morning Michael Dalton Smith, who is the director and producer of Serengeti, which is on
it's at the IMAX right now.
At the IMAX right now, but you are here in town for one day only, so we're lucky to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I mean, talk about a bucket list trip. I know two people, Michael, who have been, in your case, Tanzania, one to Kenya. It's got to be a transformative experience.
It's incredible. In my job, I've traveled all over the world, and it's like still people ask me, where's your favorite place? And for me, it's Serengeti. I've been there like more than 60 times, probably spent 5 years of my life there. And every time I go back there, it's the same magic over and over again. There really isn't a place on Earth that's like it, with that many animals, that big of a space. And you've got everything from 2 million animals to hundreds of elephants and giraffe and all these different species all interacting together. It's amazing.
I'm a big believer that travel is every bit of an educational need as learning to read and write. I mean, you just learn so much from the experience of being someplace else. And part of what I have learned anyway is that wherever you go, there's something in that experience that you can bring right back to home.
Yeah.
You found that to be the case.
Well, it's actually, I think it's different. Now it feels like home because I spend so much time there, and there isn't, you just feel comfortable. You arrive there and it feels like your family members are there for the amount of time that I've done.
When you were here, when you made this film, it was during COVID.
Yeah.
And you said, I mean, I can't even imagine this, that you literally had the Serengeti to yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've got friends who lived there in the 80s and 90s before tourism took over, and they tell us these stories about when there was no people there. And to actually experience that, where it's just you and the animals and nobody else there, I would go 3 weeks without seeing a vehicle. So it was a very magical experience to be able to do that during COVID.
I've had some times where I've been places and even in my own neighborhood, sometimes beauty can just strike you. Yeah. And you almost can't find words for it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be so beautiful it almost hurts.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Does that happen here for you?
It does. What's interesting here is it also shows the interconnectivity of everything. So you've got animals and trees and grasses that all work together, and everything's interdependent. And those same things apply to all the nature here. So you're able to take that home from this movie and get a better understanding the way nature works.
And looking at the video, Tom, I promise I'll let you talk in a second, but in looking at the video too, Michael, it feels like it's just expansive. We talk a lot about being out west in this country and the vastness of the landscape. Is that how you feel here, that the horizon is just far, far away?
Well, Serengeti actually means endless plains in the Maasai language. And so, yeah, it's once you come over the hill onto the plains, it just stretches forever, as well as the animals as far as the eye can see.
How excited are you to be sitting next to him, Tom?
Well, I mean, this has been on my bucket list forever, right? And so the one thing that's neat about IMAX is it has that power to transport you to these magical places that are out of reach for a lot of people. And so this is a great experience to bring to our theater, to give people a virtual trip to the Serengeti, the heart of Africa, to see these magnificent animals up close, to see them through a year of their life cycle and to understand those connections. And then to think about the wonderful wildlife that we have around us, the open places, the state parks, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, all these things that are right in our backyard, and hopefully spark the curiosity to want to get out and see some of those connections with the animals that are right here.
So I know we don't have endless amounts of time, but I'm going to see if I can stumble into a topic, because you're right, you do hope that it will spark people to want to go, and yet we all have these phones that we can look at all the time, and you can feel, I think young people especially, can feel like they've seen something because they have seen it virtually on their phone or through the film. Nothing can replace the actual power of being in a space.
Exactly, but these films have a chance to spark the imagination and maybe put that seed or that germ inside people's heads to do something. For me, I saw a movie that was an IMAX movie when I was a kid that got me interested.
What was it?
It was actually Serengeti with James Earl Jones that was made probably 25, 30 years ago. And I'd seen it over and over again, and it's incredible now to be in the position to make a newer version 25 years later.
When you set out to do the film, did you know going into it what you wanted it to eventually become, or did you let it kind of evolve naturally?
I have a naturally curious mind, so as a child I always wondered the way things work. And for me, when I get into a place, I just start looking around and I can see the connections and the patterns in nature. And so I wanted a film that was going to show people in a very simplistic way how nature can work.
The watering hole is a big part of lore, I think, with the Serengeti. It really is the gathering spot, isn't it?
Well, water is the source of life, so without water the life doesn't exist, and that's what actually triggers the migrations. It's the availability of water and
But
food.
you really do see them all sharing this space, all these different species?
At times throughout the years. Sometimes it's in abundance, and so the animals move around. That's usually during birth, and then of course water becomes more scarce and they have to move to find water. And so that sets the journey, because they have to cross crocodile-infested rivers, dodge prides of lions and everything along the way during the process to get there.
Just a typical journey.
Yeah.
Did you have some times that you felt a little bit endangered?
Not at all. I think people tend to think of it as being fangs and claws, but it's actually really beautiful, and that's one thing we try to convey in this movie. It's really about the beauty and the spectacular nature. It's not about animal kills. It's about how everything's interconnected, and we're a part of that ecosystem too.
I've been talking so long, I want to let people know. Can you tell us in less than a minute how they can come out and meet Michael tonight?
Yeah, Michael will be here tonight at 6 p.m. for a special screening and presentation about the making of the film and what it was like to put this film together over several years of filming, to be there during COVID, to have the whole place to themselves, which gave them that opportunity to give the canvas of the giant screen that full vista and that immersive experience of feeling like you're there. So tickets are available on our website. You can purchase tickets tonight at 6 p.m. as well. We'll have some at the box office, but a great opportunity. We'll have this film through June, so there'll be plenty of opportunities. And I'll mention that there's a 47-page educator guide, so teachers that are planning their school visits at the aquarium might want to include Serengeti as part of their lesson plan, because there's things about ecosystems and animals and survival, and there's a lot of rich educational materials associated with this film.
Maybe one day I'll get there. I can get to the IMAX for sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. Welcome to town.
Winter weather in the Tennessee Valley can be a wild ride. Count on the Local 3 Storm Alert team to prepare you for what's next. Our local knowledge means accurate forecasts for where you live. Winter weather coverage you can plan your life around.
Law school. That was for other folks when I was growing up. You see, I didn't know any lawyers. I watched my blue-collar parents work their tails off to put bread on